Hi everyone, welcome back. This is one of my best mates, Mark, and Mark used to be my mum's best friend when she was alive. And yeah, he's here today to talk about his experience as a friend of myself and me having mental illness and the impact that has on him and his understanding of that and his experience as a friend of me as well. So so maybe start, Mark, with like when you first met me, when I didn't have mental illness, as many labels as I have now. What was the difference?
Well, I think I first met Nori about 15, 16 years ago. And Nori was working as a social worker then, that's her profession. And she's still a social worker, but she's just not pursuing that at the moment. Um, Nori was very focused on her work at that point, and that was great for Nori because she needs to be busy. Nori and I had many discussions. I'd talk about my work teaching children who have disability, and Nori would talk about social work. What I found, and Nori hasn't necessarily changed so much in this regard, but Nori would be very temperate with her words. She'd choose words carefully, very non-judgmental, not and also um, uh, considered in what she said. And Nori is still those things, but probably not so focused in recent years. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. So, what are some of the major differences that you've noticed um, of late, or in the last few years?
Well, I've noticed that Nori has had periods, long, extended periods of wellness, and um, then periods of unwellness. And the length of the wellness, it's much longer than other times. In more recent years, those periods have come a bit shorter. Um, what else have I noticed? I think Nairi's going through a real learning time, learning about living with mental illness, and her friends and people who love her are in learning time too.
Yeah,
We're
tell
all in
us tell
learning
us a bit
time.
more about what you've learned, in particular with the label borderline personality disorder.
Okay, well, Naira has been diagnosed as having borderline personality disorder. I hate that title. It should be just called borderline personality. Cut the disorder off the end. Um, and I've done a lot of research on this, but sometimes I think I've gone up some rabbit holes that haven't been authoritative websites on borderline personality, and then I've looked to make sure that I was pursuing institutes and hospitals and research institutes that have really world class names in psychiatry and psychology and mental illness, and then I think my information has been far more reliable. What I've learned a bit about borderline personality, or at least this is my understanding of it, is that a person may exhibit some signs of schizophrenia, may have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, may exhibit some signs of bipolar personality, may indeed have some psychosis, may experience psychosis, but it's sort of like elements of quite a few different mental health conditions. So BPD seems to be in between um, schizophrenia, in between borderline personality, OCD, psychosis, isn't just one thing. I think,
Mhm.
and recently I got to ask Nairi's mental health team at Charles Gardner Hospital and about BPD and they were able to clarify things for me, and they seem to. That's my current understanding of borderline personality.
So that's been really helpful for you, learning about what I experience. Like I can tell you what I'm experiencing. Like when I'm psychotic, I let you know that I'm having voices and what they're saying. I let you know when I'm suicidal. That's another part of the borderline personality disorder.
Well, I think it was really helpful talking to Naira's team because I was able to clarify a great many things in my mind, but also to I think it clarified things for Nairi because I think there'd been so much, not necessarily the most informed decisions sometimes have been most informed diagnosis. I think sometimes the turnover of doctors, psychiatrists in public hospitals means that um, sometimes Norrie would only see a psychiatrist for a short period of time, and they'd read a file and they'd go with the bipolar, with the borderline personality disorder. But um, for me, understanding what BPD is, having a better idea of what Nairi is experiencing, and Nairi spending a considerable length of time at Charles Gardner, 3 weeks roughly, and and being under the care and under the treatment of a team that are um, very established in that hospital. It was good experience.
It was a good experience. Can you give us a few hints about what is helpful when I'm experiencing some form of mental illness?
Okay.
Some of the strategies that you have.
Okay. Well, one of the things I have to stop myself doing is thinking, oh gosh, Nora's going through this again. Why? And stop myself thinking, oh, can't Nora just get through this? Because it's not like that. Um, I might wish that Nora could just somehow just flick it off,
I
but
wish I
it's
could too.
yeah, and it's not going to happen. So you've got to dismiss. I found that I've had to dismiss thoughts from my mind that might make me go down the wrong path in trying to support Nairi. One of the things that I have found effective is recently Nairi went through recurrence of she was experiencing psychosis. She'd been discharged from hospital. The team were aware that she was still experiencing psychosis, but they felt it was important that she come home, and I think they made the right decision. Nairi was struggling, really struggling, and I decided to be very direct. I sent Norris some text messages that were very, very direct, and I think that was I felt good about it because they weren't uncaring messages. They were caring, but they were very direct, and they challenged Nairi. And I think um, direct messaging, not being negative, to support people, not being negative and impatient, and not taking agency, not taking independence away from Nairi. For instance, in that afternoon, we knew that Nairi was still experiencing psychosis, and it might have been um, wise of us to have taken Nairi's car keys and motorbike keys from her, asked for them, and insisted on that. But sometimes that's not the right avenue. That is the right way to go if Naira's in a state where we feel that she might hurt herself or harm someone else driving. Um, if she was so unwell or if she was intoxicated, then sure, you would insist on taking keys. But in this instance, Nairi made her own decision to come back home, and and we weren't trying to insist and take agency away from Nori. We were saying very directly how we felt, and Nori made those decisions herself.
Yeah, and I really value your friendship, Mark, and
Thanks,
the
Brian.
fact that
Thanks,
you are there and you are trying to learn more about mental illness and specifically my diagnoses. Um, what kind of impact does it have on you as a friend?
Positives and negatives. I'd say the positives are that it challenges me to think about the quality of my friendship. And, they say a friend in need is a friend indeed. When your friends, having had another friend who experienced the flight of friends when he was very unwell with mental illness, and that must be so harmful to people who've got long-standing friendships to just end because people flee. I mean,
Yeah, I had that right back at the start.
so that's it's good for me to reflect on and to be challenged to have to live up to being trying to be a quality friend and support to Nairi. Um, Negatives are, well, yeah, it's really it's challenging in that uh, it. There have been times when I've felt very, very um, worried for Nairi's welfare, and worrying and being um, uh, fixating on Nairi's welfare as we can do is is hard work, you know.
Yeah,
Mm,
definitely.
mm.
Um, like it's hard work for me to try and get through it, but I can understand completely what it's like for friends and family as well.
But the thing is, and I feel very positive that Nairi is always learning about her mental illness and is coping better and better with it. And particularly in the last week, where it's since Nairi's discharge from hospital, I think Nairi's turned a bit of a corner, and I really feel that Nairi will. Sure, there's going to be difficult times, and there'll be two steps forward, one step back, and maybe a couple of steps back on occasion, and there'll be difficult times. But I really think that Nairi is becoming better and better equipped to deal with the psychosis, to work through it, and to come out the other side more quickly than she might otherwise have in previous times.
Yeah, it was a really positive experience, even though it was pretty awful going through it. Like to get that, finally get that diagnosis of psychosis, um, to actually, like I'm now validated that I am a voice hearer, and that is my experience.
Well, the team at Charles Gardner Hospital in the mental health unit there, I met with two psychiatrists, also a mental health nurse and a social worker team, and I got to fire many questions to them to clear up in my mind about borderline personality disorder, about a great many things about it, and I feel like Nairi's encountered a really strong team of people there, and uh, that the lengthy admission for 3 weeks, I think, was ideal for Nairi. Got her through a really tough psychosis, and she's coming out the other side, and I think feeling pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a strong team around me, and I've got, only a handful of friends, but that's all I need. I need good friends like
Quality, not
yourself. That's
quantity.
right. That's right.
and
Um,
and I think Nairi's got so many things planned. Plus, she and I have connected into a really good social group of people who many of who have mental health issues, mental health challenges, and other challenges, and they're a great group of people, very supportive. So I think we're really lucky we've connected into a great group of people.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oh
Mhm.
well, thank you for your time,
No,
Mark.
no problem,
Thank you
Mary.
for sharing your experience as a friend. And yeah, you know what to do. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.
Beauty.